So this is officially the first day of class, and I briefly wanted to go over basically everything that's in our syllabus, but just shortened down a little bit. So here's a basic overview of the class. This is the most important thing you're going to get out of today. The semester is divided into 4 units, and we'll be covering 1 unit each week. So even though this is a self-paced class, every week I'm going to focus on Unit 1. Next week I'm going to focus on Unit 2, and so on. Now, the key day of the week that you should keep in mind is Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesdays are going to be the deadlines for the homework. So if you read the description, it says that homeworks are due every Monday night. That means by the time it hits 11:59 or midnight, right? By the time it turns into Tuesday, that should be the deadline, or that will be the deadline for all your homeworks. So homeworks are due every Monday night, and on that Tuesday, you'll have an exam, and you'll have an exam every week. So we have 4 tests. They go over 4 different units, and they'll be every Tuesday. You will have an hour and 45 minutes per exam. Now, the way it's going to work, since it is online only, is that you can start at any point during the day. But there is a cutoff point, and that would be midnight. Right? So Tuesday at 11:59 p.m., just like the homework, that'll be your deadline for getting everything turned in for your exam. So you can start it at any point during the day, but you're going to be limited to 1 hour and 45 minutes after you start the test. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about tests later. I am going to have you turn in your handwritten work for those tests. But for now, that's the important thing, is that they're going to be held every Tuesday. So you're going to have 4 of those tests, and then you're also going to have a final exam on the last day of class. The weekly tests are going to focus only on the homework assignments for that week. But the final exam will be comprehensive, so it'll go over every single thing that we do in this class. Now, throughout this course, it doesn't matter what you're working on, you are allowed to use a calculator, but it needs to be a 4-function calculator. It cannot have graphing or any sort of those functions. And I'll get back to that in a bit, but a lot of it's going to come down to you doing the work on paper and turning that in. So the homeworks, they're only going to consist of 20% of your overall grade. And just like I described earlier, homework assignments are due each week on Monday nights. Unit 1 is probably the longest. I mean, it's definitely the longest. It's going to have 8 assignments. So that is going to be due this upcoming Tuesday. Right? So this upcoming Monday night, you should have all 8 assignments done. Next week, you're going to have 6 assignments. The week after, you have 6. And then last week, you have 5. So 1 unit is to be completed each week by the end of the day on Monday. And the thing about the homeworks is, even though there is quite a bit, you can redo any of the assignments as long as you redo them before the due date, and you can still receive full credit for them. The only catch for that is that you do have to redo every single problem for that section of homework. Not all 8 assignments, but all of the problems for one of those assignments. You would have to redo all of them to get full credit. And because it is a self-paced class, you are free to do whatever work you want. You can work ahead of schedule if you'd like. Now, the tests are going to be worth 20% each. You're going to have 1 unit per test, like I mentioned earlier. These are the actual dates of those exams. And again, they're going to be on Tuesday, and you'll have the entire day on Tuesday. But as soon as you click start, you're only going to be timed for 1 hour and 45 minutes to submit your questions or to submit your answers. So test 1 would be 20%. Test 2 would be a total, if we combine the total percentage of the grade. 2 tests will make up 40%. 3 tests will make up 60%. And 4 tests would make up 80%, right? So if we're at 80%, the other 20% would come from the homework, right? So what this means is that even though you have 4 tests and they cover 80% of your grade, your final exam will actually replace one of the previous test scores. So the final exam is still worth 20% of your overall grade, just like any of the other tests. So the only time it will not replace one of the old scores is if you missed a test or you got a 0 for it due to cheating or some other thing. Okay, so you don't want to get a 0 on a test. Make sure you at least take the exams. Otherwise, the final exam will not replace that old grade. So for your homeworks, I'm sure you already noticed, I'm going to have a lot of walkthroughs. They're video tutorials in which I pretty much go through every single problem for every single assignment that you guys have. Now that might change a little bit. I might not do as many questions, but I'll try to do as many of them as I can. For each for each week of assignments, I'm going to have a unit notes PDF. And that'll be on the course page. It'll be under notes and tutorials. I would strongly recommend that you bring up those PDF files whenever you're looking through my homework videos, because I'm going to be referring to those notes pretty much in every video. So they're called Unit 1 notes or Unit 2 notes or Unit 3 notes. But make sure you're able to find those set of notes, because I do think they'll be really valuable. Most likely I won't work through the actual examples that are in the PDFs, because I already have the explanations in the PDFs themselves. But what I will be doing is looking at definitions and, that's pretty much it. I'll be looking through the definitions and a few of the examples that are in those PDFs. So my goal is to upload 1 or 2 walkthroughs every single day and hopefully work ahead of schedule. That way, if you want to get ahead, you can just look through the videos and you'll know everything you need to know through those videos alone. And I'll also try to keep my explanations short and simple. Some of the videos might be a little bit long, but that's because the problems themselves take a little bit of explaining to do in order for you to not just be able to copy it down and understand it properly. So I'm only open to answering questions immediately from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So that's every morning. And this is actually not including Fridays. The schedule is Monday through Thursday from 9 to 11 a.m. So it is in the morning, and I know a lot of you might be busy in the morning. But if you ever have a question and you're able to stop by, that would be the time to do it. Otherwise, you can email me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, but it just won't be immediate like the other one would. Now, I'll try to get back to you as fast as possible, but there's just no guarantee. There's also tutoring sessions, which I don't have on here. But tutoring sessions are available, and you don't necessarily need to schedule it ahead of time. I have a tutorial on how to do that. It's a PDF tutorial. But if you go to the Blackboard webpage on the left-hand side, you should see an option that says, what is this? It says online tutoring. And if you click on that, it'll tell you everything you need to know to join an online tutoring session. I believe they're open for most of the day too. So from the morning till about 9 p.m. And I believe the actual times is 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Could be off a little bit about that but I would strongly recommend looking up those tutoring sessions. And they're free of charge. They're not going to charge you anything to join those. And the last thing for the session is that by the end of this first day, I absolutely need you to register for Connect Math. I have a PDF tutorial on the course page. So if you load up my.tccd.edu, right, that's called Blackboard. If you load that up, you click on this course, Math 0361. On the left-hand side of the page, you'll see something that says Connect Math Information. If you click on that, it should give you all the information you need to purchase a code for Connect Math. Now, if you don't have money right now that you're able to spend on Connect Math, because I do think it's about $90, roughly $100 after, I'm not sure if they charge taxes, but basically it's $100. And this is necessary. You need it to actually complete this class. If you don't have money or you need financial aid, then I have a tutorial on that same page on how to use what they call an access code. And it'll basically give you permission to join this class and work on all the material and work on all the tests. But it limits you to 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks of basically a free trial. But as soon as those 2 weeks are done, if you have not bought the code yet, it will cancel your subscription and it'll cancel your progress in the class. So keep that in mind. Is if you can't pay for it now, you're only going to have 2 weeks to be able to pay for the Connect Math application. So try to get that done by the end of today. I know several of you have already done it, but if you have not registered for Connect Math, make sure you follow the tutorial I have online and do that as soon as possible. And the very last thing is that it's kind of a repeat of what I've already said. I already have a couple of YouTube tutorials up. Now, again, I work through as many problems as I can, and some of the videos are a little long, but I do think they're in depth. They give you everything you need to know to be able to solve the problems on your own. Now, the questions aren't word for word exactly what you guys have. You guys have different numbers, but I do think most of the wording is exactly the same. It's just the numbers are different. Anyways, if you have any questions, I can clear them up during these sessions in the mornings, or you can send me an email, or even better, look up those tutoring sessions. And if you need more information on that, just send me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, that's about it. Hopefully this answers all your questions. The only thing I want to revisit is to make sure you're using a 4-function calculator. Now, there's a lot of basic math with like positive and negative numbers. I'm not going to focus too much on that, but I'd be more than happy to go over it with you if you would like me to do that. Otherwise, use one of those basic calculators. But if it's a graphing calculator and I find that out based on your test results or based on your handwritten work, there will be negative repercussions for that. So just don't cheat. Use a basic calculator and you should be fine. Oh, hey Kisha, I didn't know you were joining, or I didn't know you had already joined. Hopefully you can hear me now though. I just finished recording this video.